So my name is Mark Brabins. I'm a safety advisor with AltaLink, and I'm also the chair of the Joint Utility Safety Team. And on behalf of JUST, I'd like to welcome everyone here today to the Edmonton Fire Department Poundmaker Industrial Fire Training Centre. I want to thank everyone for coming out and participating in this important day. Here with us today are JUST partners. We have ATCO Electric, EPCOR, ENMAX, Fortis Alberta, AltaLink, and the Government of Alberta. Every year, hundreds of Albertans risk their lives by coming into contact with overhead or underground power lines. Last year alone, we had 861 contacts in Alberta. As of fall 2011, awareness among operators of the 7-meter safe message, which refers to the safe distance between equipment and the operators, has gone up 41%. That's up from 9% in 2008. So the message is getting out there. People are starting to hear it. And today we're shifting our focus to the future. Here we've invited grade 5 students from Parkview School and grade 9 students from Edmonton Christian School West to join our Powerline Safety Day. So welcome to all of you. Here, students are going to have the opportunity to watch our safety leaders perform demonstrations and learn about powerline safety before they enter the workforce. But to start things off, I want to introduce you now to Mr. Andrew Sharman. Since immigrating to Canada in 2006, Mr. Sharman has worked with Alberta Health Services and the former Capital Health in a number of roles before joining the Government of Alberta as Assistant Deputy Minister, Workplace Standards Delivery in June 2011. Would you all please help me in welcoming Mr. Andrew Sharman.
Thanks, Mark, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here on this very important day. And thank you to all of Alberta's electric utilities and for our first responders' commitment to Powerline Safety Day, and through the Joint Utility Safety Team to promoting safety on the job each and every day. You are undoubtedly making a difference, as we've just heard. Like you, the Alberta government also appreciates the opportunity to reach out to young Albertans, our next generation of the workforce. So thank you to all our students for joining us today. It's easy for all of us to take electricity for granted, from waking up and turning on the light to cooking meals, and most importantly, providing the power for your iPhones and Xboxes. Electricity is all around us. And while it might seem to magically appear, it's not quite that easy. Many of these people here today are responsible for bringing that electricity to you, from its generation to transmission to the moment it reaches your TV or toaster. Their job is to make sure that happens each and every day of the year, and to help ensure you understand the dangers associated with it. My job as head of the delivery arm of occupational health and safety in Alberta is to make sure all of these workers and those who work around electrical infrastructure are safe on the job. At some point, each of you will have a job out in industry. And when that happens, we want you to do everything to keep yourselves and your colleagues healthy and safe. As you will see here today, people can be seriously injured or die if they do not take the proper precautions when working with and around electricity. What you learn today could help you and your friends stay alive and stay safe. Thank you very much for being here for the 3rd annual Powerline Safety Day. Ask all the questions you can, and whether you're at home or on the job, always ask yourselves, where's the line? Thank you.
Our next guest is going to bring this important message home to you all, as he has survived a workplace incident. Rick Svekla is a former lineman who experienced firsthand the consequences of contacting a power line. Rick joined ATCO Electric in 1985, and he's worked in all of ATCO's service territories. Currently, he's an area supervisor with the company's operations division, working out of Grand Prairie. And I would like to now ask Rick to come forward and share your incredible story with us.
Well, thanks for the introduction, and it's very nice to see all of you guys here today to take concern over what we're doing here and what we're promoting. Remember, this is the wire. This is the thing that got me. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just tell you a little bit about what happened to my person there back in 1989. And that day will always stick in my head. It was 1985, and it was the day I started with the company, and it was the day I got electrocuted. That morning started out basically just like any other day, just like you started out this morning. You put your shoes on, you went to school, got prepared. We put our boots on, we went down, we met, we went down to the office, drove out to the work site, had a meeting with all our group before we started our job that day. There was 4 of us working on the site that day, and we were all on the line at the same time. And in one way, we were very fortunate that I was the last person on the line. Because when I was on the wire at the time, the line became energized by a generator that was feeding the system. And as soon as I reached down with my wrench to touch the wire to tighten up another washer that was on the pole, I contacted the wire. And at that point in time, I was hit with 25,000 volts. The power went through my hand and out my feet. And then at this point in time, I was up in the air probably about 25 to 30 feet, hanging upside down in between what they call transformers. And then when I was hanging upside down, the line got turned on one more time. And so then I had the power came through my toes, and then it blew out my other hand. So what happened to myself was, first of all, where electricity goes in small and it goes out big, just like a gunshot wound. So it went through my hand and it blew out the side of my foot the first time. The second time, it went through my toe and blew my thumb, and my thumb it literally had a hole through it. So at the time this happened, the other worker that was there seen what was going on, and he actually cut the wires open feeding to the site, which eliminated the generator from backfeeding our system. So once that happened, I was down, and I finally got lowered to the ground, and I was put into the ambulance. And all I could smell was the smell of burning flesh. My hands, my feet, everything felt like it was on fire. Literally, it felt like, and it wouldn't quit. It felt like it was like pulling your hand out of a fire pit. So from there, I wound up, they took me into the city and they flew me into the university hospital. And at that time, back in 1989, the medical world wasn't where it is today. So they put me in what they called the burn ward in the U of A. And then I was in bed there, and I had to lay there for just about 10 days to 2 weeks. And then they had to do what they called debriding. So they had to sit there every morning, give me a needle, and then they had to sit there, and then they had to cut all the dead flesh. Because electricity flows inside out. So the power goes in across your bones and then comes out. So needless to say, after this was all done, my 2 weeks was up and I had to go into surgery. And the option was, I was going to wake up with either no foot, no thumb, no hand, I wasn't sure. And so after I woke up from my surgery, I remember I woke up and I had Band-Aids on all 4 parts of my body. So at that point, I knew I at least had my parts. And with an electrical accident like that, it's very seldom you ever get a second chance at coming back to your job. And I was one of the very fortunate people that I was able to come back and perform my duties as a power lineman up till last year. So, the effects of it after still linger with me. Like I have had skin damage, or I've had nerve damage in my hands. I have no circulation. My foot, they literally skin graft it right down to the bone. And so when I wear shoes, if I get a hole in it, it takes a long time to heal. So the one message that I want to leave you kids with is, remember the 7 meters to safety. If you ever see a wire down on the ground, make sure that you maintain 7 meters to the line. Stay away. The only people that know what that wire is that's on the line is a utility worker, and they're the only ones that will confirm that for you. So if you see something down, remember 7 steps to safety, and always remember where's the line, because you'll never know which line is which. So from here, you're going to be able to go through some demonstrations, and you'll be able to see, how we make things safe, how electricity works, everything else. There's a lot of good displays here. So pay attention and remember that as you're growing up, and pass this safety information on to your friends and stuff when you see them. If you see a wire laying in an alley or just anything. The other day, one example I'd like to leave you with here is there was a party that was going on for a graduation. The kids were setting up a light tower, and I happened to be out there. The first thing I looked at, they were going to set this light tower up right underneath the power line. And, you know, that was the recipe for disaster right there. So, you know, hopefully some of this education gets through and people learn to look up, look around, and be safe. So I will be around. If you have any more questions for me, you can come up to me and ask me some questions, and I can answer them for you, I hope. So, thank you.
And thank you, Rick, for sharing your story with us today. Together as Alberta's electric utilities, government, industry, and community, we're increasing awareness about power line safety. We're increasing this awareness so that we can reduce the number of power line incidents in Alberta and ensure that more Albertans go home at the end of each day safely.